The emergency klaxons hadn't stopped wailing in 3 hours, which Ambassador Kletch found particularly annoying because his species experienced sound through their entire exoskeleton. Every blare felt like someone was playing the drums on his chitin, and not in the fun way. Order! Order! Supreme Chancellor Vryn slammed her gavel appendage against the podium. At 4,000 years old, she'd seen approximately everything the galaxy had to throw at her. Rebellions, supernovas, that unfortunate incident with the sentient gas cloud and the birthday candles. But the holographic display currently floating above the council chamber had her second and third eyelids twitching with genuine concern. The image showed a creature. Bipedal. Massive. Easily 12 feet tall, maybe more, shoulders as wide as a cargo shuttle. It stood in what their xenobiologists assured them was an aggressive posture, holding a spherical object that their weapons analysts suspected was some kind of explosive device. The audio crackled to life. Johnson is a beast, an absolute monster on the court. There's no stopping him when he drives to the basket. The council chamber erupted. 17 different species began shouting in 23 different languages, which was actually impressive math when you stop to think about it. They breed warriors called beasts, shrieked Councillor Plex, his eye stalks quivering. They have monsters that cannot be stopped, added Minister Throck, accidentally crushing her datapad in one massive claw. Kletch raised one of his 6 arms tentatively. Perhaps, if I may, we should consider that this could be a misunderstanding of some. A misunderstanding. Vryn's ancient voice cut through the chaos. Ambassador Kletch, our long-range scanners intercepted this transmission from the 3rd planet of the Sol system. This species, these humans, have been broadcasting evidence of their warrior caste across their entire electromagnetic spectrum. We have dozens of similar recordings. Hundreds. They're not even trying to hide their military capabilities. Another hologram flickered to life. Another giant human, this one performing what appeared to be an aerial assault maneuver, leaping impossible heights while other giants attempted to stop it. The commentator's voice was absolutely gleeful about the violence. Davis with the slam! Oh, that's just disrespectful. Disrespectful, Vryn repeated slowly. They consider their combat displays disrespectful, meaning they have even more devastating attacks they consider respectful. She turned her full attention to Kletch, and he really wished she hadn't. Ambassador, your homeworld is in the same galactic quadrant as this Earth. I'm assigning you to lead the first contact mission. Kletch felt his spiracles constrict. Me? Supreme Chancellor, surely someone with more experience in military matters, would be seen as a threat. We need diplomacy, Kletch. We need to convince these titans that the Galactic Council offers friendship and trade, not conquest. Otherwise, we're looking at the most one-sided war since the Krelliks tried to invade that planet made entirely of lava. Remember how that ended? Everyone remembered. The Krelliks didn't, mostly because they weren't around anymore to do the remembering. Of course, Supreme Chancellor. Kletch tried not to let his mandibles droop with despair. I'll assemble a delegation immediately. When should we depart? Yesterday, preferably. Our projections suggest if the humans decide we're a threat, they could have war fleets in our space within a standard cycle. Look at them, Kletch. Another hologram appeared, showing a human lifting what had to be several times its body weight while others cheered. They train constantly. They broadcast their training. It's psychological warfare before the war even starts. Kletch watched the human in the hologram and noticed something the analysts had apparently missed. The creature was smiling. Actually looked like it was enjoying itself. But he was a junior ambassador who'd gotten his posting through a very tedious essay contest, not a decorated general. So he kept that observation to himself. I'll make the necessary preparations, he said, already mentally composing his will. As he scuttled out of the council chamber, he passed Commander Zrel in the corridor. The Kragnoth warrior stood 8 feet tall, covered in scars from 100 campaigns, with a service record that read like an action novel. She nodded respectfully at him. Heard you got the Earth assignment, Zrel rumbled. Need security? You'd volunteer for a potential suicide mission? Zrel's tusks curved in what might have been a smile. Ambassador, I've fought the Hive Wars, survived the Nebula skirmishes, and once held a supply depot against an entire battalion with nothing but a broken plasma rifle and sheer spite. If these humans are really as dangerous as the Council thinks, I want to see them with my own eyes before they inevitably conquer us all. Kletch appreciated the honesty, if not the sentiment. Report to Docking Bay 7 in 3 hours. And Commander, bring the big guns. Already planning on it. As Kletch made his way to his quarters to pack, he pulled up the human transmissions one more time on his personal datapad. 12-foot titans who called themselves monsters and beasts, who couldn't be stopped, who performed aerial assaults for entertainment. His translator chip had to be malfunctioning. It had to be. It wasn't. And in 72 hours, he was going to meet them face to face. He really should have gone into accounting like his parent Clutch wanted. Ambassador Patricia Hayes stared at the transmission from the Galactic Council with the exact same expression she'd worn when her ex-husband texted to say he was finding himself in Costa Rica with their retirement savings. Tired. Unsurprised. Vaguely homicidal. They think we're 12 feet tall. Her assistant Jeremy nodded enthusiastically. Apparently they intercepted NBA highlights and recruitment videos. The linguistics team says their translation software doesn't understand metaphors. So when the announcers called players giants and monsters, they took it literally. Extremely literally. Patricia rubbed her temples. 26 years in the diplomatic corps. She'd negotiated trade deals, smoothed over international incidents, and once convinced the French ambassador that no, we couldn't settle the dispute with a cooking competition. And now, first contact with alien life. The most important moment in human history. And it was based on a misunderstanding about basketball. Where's Ambassador Thornton? Or literally anyone from the senior staff? Jeremy consulted his tablet. Climate Summit in Geneva. The whole team. The President? Also Geneva. The Secretary General? Geneva. Is anyone not in Geneva? You're not in Geneva. Patricia looked around her office. Boxes everywhere because the State Department was moving buildings next month. Her desk wobbled. The coffee maker had been broken since April. On the floor, currently building a tower out of classified document boxes, was Tommy Briggs, age 3, son of junior attaché Karen Briggs, who was absolutely in Geneva and whose childcare had catastrophically fallen through this morning. Tommy looked up at her, face smeared with what she desperately hoped was just chocolate. I made a castle. That's great, buddy. Patricia looked back at Jeremy. When do the aliens want to meet? Tomorrow, neutral station in high orbit. They're sending a full diplomatic envoy and military escort. Tomorrow. Patricia laughed. It wasn't a happy sound. And our budget for this? Jeremy winced. After the last round of cuts, we can afford to send one person on the shuttle, maybe 2 if they don't eat. Patricia's gaze drifted back to Tommy, who'd abandoned his castle and was now attempting to put on her shoes, both on the same foot. The kid was having the absolute worst day. He'd already cried twice about his missing juice box, once about the wrong color crayon, and thrown a 30-minute tantrum about the existence of Tuesday. An idea formed. A terrible, beautiful, absolutely career-ending idea. Jeremy, how good is their translation software? Bad, apparently. Why? And they definitely think we're giant super warriors, 12-foot killing machines, according to their threat assessment. Tommy had given up on the shoes and was now demanding goldfish crackers in the tone of voice usually reserved for hostage negotiations. Patricia smiled. Get me a direct line to the Galactic Council. Tell them Earth accepts their invitation and we're sending our representative tomorrow. Who are we sending? Patricia pointed at Tommy, who'd found a permanent marker and was eyeing the wall with clear intent. Him. Jeremy followed her finger. The Toddler. The Toddler. Patricia, that's insane. Jeremy. Our actual plan was to send me. Explain the misunderstanding politely. And hope they don't feel so embarrassed they glass the planet out of spite. This way? She watched Tommy successfully draw a smiley face on his own hand. This way we keep the mystique. We send something small and terrifying. Something unpredictable. Something that will make them question everything they think they know about humanity. A 3-year-old. A 3-year-old who hasn't napped properly in 2 days and whose favorite word is no. Patricia was already pulling up the contact forms. We'll tell them he's our representative. They'll spend the whole meeting trying to figure out if he's a juvenile super soldier, a new bioweapon, or psychological warfare. By the time they realize he's just a kid, we'll have bought ourselves enough goodwill and confusion to actually negotiate properly. Or they'll declare war. Jeremy, look at me. Patricia gestured at her office. I'm making first contact with humanity's future while sitting in a room that smells like old coffee and Toddler. I have $17 in my budget. We're past conventional solutions. Tommy chose that moment to walk over and hand her the marker. I need potty. Patricia looked at Jeremy. Confirm the meeting. And find me, whoever's responsible for child diplomacy protocols. That's not a thing. It is now. The docking bay doors of Harmony 7 station opened with a hiss that Ambassador Kletch felt in his entire nervous system. Commander Zrel stood beside him, plasma rifle charged, surrounded by 12 elite security officers in full combat armor. The Council had spared no expense on protection for this mission. Behind them, The diplomatic chamber gleamed with polished metal and carefully arranged ceremonial banners from 47 member species. "Remember," Kletch whispered, mostly to himself. "Maintain calm. Show no fear. Express friendship through the proper diplomatic channels." "I've never been afraid of anything in my life," Zrel growled. But her grip on the rifle suggested otherwise. The human vessel had docked 3 minutes ago. Scans showed one life form aboard. One. Either the humans were supremely confident, or this was their absolute apex warrior, sent alone because backup would be unnecessary. The airlock cycled. Kletch activated his translator and straightened all 6 of his posture spines. The door opened. A small bipedal creature waddled through, maybe 3 feet tall, wearing what appeared to be tiny blue pants with dinosaurs on them. It clutched a stuffed green animal in one hand and dragged a small blanket behind it with the other. Its face was round, sticky with some kind of residue, and currently arranged in an expression of deep suspicion. "Big bug," Tommy announced, pointing directly at Kletch. The security team tensed. Zrel's weapon hummed to life. "Stand down," Kletch hissed. His translator chip was having fits. Was this the warrior? It had to be. The humans sent it. But it was so small. Maybe a larval form? A juvenile super soldier in training? Or worse, something engineered to look harmless? Tommy waddled closer, completely ignoring the dozen weapons pointed vaguely in his direction. He stopped directly in front of Kletch and reached up with one hand. "You got antenna? Please don't touch the ambassador," Zrel said, her voice remarkably steady for someone clearly reconsidering her life choices. Tommy's face transformed. His lower lip jutted out. His eyes went wide and shiny. "But I want to see the bug. Is it charging an attack?" one of the security officers whispered. "Weapons ready," Zrel commanded. That's when Tommy noticed his juice box was missing. Patricia had specifically packed it. He'd had it on the shuttle. Where was it? The realization hit him with the force of a planetary collision. His juice box was gone, and these aliens were right here. Therefore, clearly, obviously, with perfect toddler logic, this was their fault. "Juice!" Tommy shrieked at a volume that shouldn't have been possible from something so small. Half the security team stepped back. Kletch felt his spiracles close involuntarily. "The creature is deploying a sonic weapon." "Where my juice?" Tommy demanded. He looked around, spotted Kletch's ceremonial data tablet on the greeting podium, and did what any reasonable 3-year-old would do. He threw his juice box from the shuttle entrance, which he must have dropped there. It sailed through the air with surprising accuracy and smacked directly into Zrel's faceplate. The commander of the Kragnoth Honor Guard, veteran of 63 campaigns, winner of the Stellar Cross for Valor, stumbled backward. Hostile action! Hostile action! Nobody fire!" Kletch shouted. But Tommy was already moving. He'd spotted the refreshment table the diplomats had carefully arranged with delicacies from across the galaxy. Kletch watched in horror as the tiny human grabbed a Plexian honor fruit, examined it with clear disgust, and threw it on the floor. "Yucky. That's a sacred ceremonial offering," someone whimpered. Tommy found the Vrelian spice cakes next, sniffed them, made a face like he'd encountered biological warfare. "No, want goldfish. It's requesting Earth creatures as tribute," Zrel translated badly, still wiping juice from her helmet. Kletch tried to approach diplomatically, all 6 arms spread in the universal gesture of peace that Tommy obviously didn't recognize. "Small warrior, we mean no harm. We come in friendship." "No!" Tommy shouted, perfecting the toddler battle cry. He sat down hard on the floor. "Want mommy. Want home. Want my juice." The tantrum that followed would be documented in Galactic Council records as the incident. Tommy kicked. He screamed. He threw his stuffed dinosaur at a security officer who caught it reflexively and then held it like it might explode. His face turned red. Actual tears appeared. "Is this a berserker rage?" Kletch asked weakly. "I think," Zrel said slowly, plasma rifle now lowered. "I think we might have made a terrible mistake." But the council transmission was already coming through, marked urgent. Tommy's tantrum had been broadcast across every diplomatic channel. 47 species were now watching a 3-foot human lose its mind over juice, and every single one of them thought it was psychological warfare. "Get the Supreme Chancellor," Kletch said, "and someone find this creature its juice before it demonstrates what humans consider actual violence." Tommy screamed louder. It was going to be a very long first contact. Supreme Chancellor Vryn appeared via hologram, looking like she'd aged another 1,000 years in the past hour. "Ambassador Kletch, report. Is the human warrior subdued?" Kletch glanced at Tommy, who'd finally stopped screaming and was now sitting in the middle of the diplomatic chamber. systematically removing his shoes. Subdued isn't exactly the word I'd use, Chancellor. I want cookie, Tommy announced to nobody in particular. It's making demands already? Vrin's third eyelid twitched. What are its terms? Cookies, apparently. Kletch consulted his translator again, hoping it would suddenly start making sense. It didn't. Zrel approached carefully, like Tommy was a live explosive, and placed a tray of Kragnoth protein wafers in front of him. We offer sustenance, small human, as a gesture of peace. Tommy picked one up, examined it, licked it experimentally. His face went through several expressions, none of them good, before he wound up and threw the entire tray across the room. It clattered against the wall with a sound that made everyone flinch. Yucky. Want goldfish. It's demanding tribute again, one of the xenobiologists said into their recorder. Specifically aquatic life forms from its homeworld. Possibly for consumption. Possibly for ritual sacrifice. One. I know like you. Tommy pointed at Kletch with the absolute certainty of a toddler who'd made up his mind. You smell funny. The translator struggled with that one before settling on. Your biological composition offends me. This is a territorial challenge. Chancellor, Kletch said weakly. Permission to access the human database for cultural context? Denied. That's exactly what they'd want us to do. Show weakness by admitting ignorance. Vrin leaned forward. Proceed with the treaty negotiation. Carefully. Zrel produced the official Galactic Council peace treaty. A beautiful document written on crystallized plasma that had taken 16 committees 4 months to draft. She placed it on the low table in front of Tommy with a ceremonial flourish. On behalf of the 47 member species, we offer friendship and alliance. Tommy looked at the glowing document, looked at Zrel. I want crayons. It's requesting writing implements, Kletch said. Probably to sign in its native custom. Someone found something approximating crayons in the station's recreation supplies. Tommy grabbed the red one and went to work on the treaty with the focused intensity of a 3-year-old with a mission. He drew a circle, then another circle, then what might have been a dinosaur, or possibly a spaceship, or potentially just a blob. What is it writing? Vrin demanded. The xenobiologists huddled around, analyzing. It appears to be marking territorial boundaries. These circular formations could represent conquered systems. The irregular quadruped might be their war deity. That's Rexy, Tommy said helpfully, adding more scribbles. He eats bad guys. It has a consuming deity named Rexy, someone whispered. By the stars, Tommy yawned. A huge, face-splitting yawn that showed all his teeth. Then he simply laid down on the floor, right there in the middle of first contact, curled around his stuffed dinosaur, and closed his eyes. The diplomatic chamber went silent. Is it dead? Counselor Plex asked via hologram. No, life signs are stable, Zrel confirmed, scanning with her equipment. But its brain activity has changed dramatically. It's entered some kind of dormant state. At will? Vrin's voice climbed an octave. It can just shut down its consciousness in the middle of negotiations? Kletch watched Tommy's chest rise and fall with steady breaths. A small thumb had found its way into the child's mouth. I think, and I cannot stress enough that this is just a theory, but I think we might have fundamentally misunderstood. Silence. Vrin cut him off. This is clearly a tactical demonstration. The human is showing us it's so unconcerned with our military capabilities that it can enter a vulnerable state without fear. It's the ultimate power move. Or, Kletch said quietly, it's just tired. Nobody heard him. They were too busy panicking. Zrel stood guard over the sleeping Tommy with her weapon ready, looking more confused than she'd ever been in combat. What do we do now? We wait, Vrin said grimly. And when it wakes up, we give it whatever it wants. All of it. Tommy snored softly, completely unaware that he'd just terrorized 47 alien civilizations into submission with nothing but a tantrum and a nap. Tommy woke up angry. Not regular angry. The special kind of angry that only comes from being 3 years old, sleeping on a strange floor, and waking up surrounded by weird aliens instead of on the couch at home with cartoons. I want mommy. Kletch, who'd been dozing at his post, jolted awake. It's activated. Battle stations. No. Tommy sat up, grabbed his stuffed dinosaur, and hurled it at the nearest security officer. Rexy bounced off the alien's helmet with a soft thump. Go home now. It's rejecting our presence. Zrel translated unnecessarily. Demanding we leave its territory. Tommy spotted the scale model of the Harmony 7 station on the display table, part of the cultural exchange presentation they'd prepared. His eyes lit up. He waddled over and grabbed it. Spaceship. Don't touch that. Kletch reached out instinctively. Big mistake. Tommy's face did that thing, that horrible transformation that every parent recognizes as the point of no return. He clutched the model spaceship and several model fighters that had been arranged around it. Then he started smashing them together. Boom! Crash! Pew pew pew! He made explosion sounds with impressive enthusiasm, sending tiny model ships flying across the room. Fire! Boom, boom, boom. The security team scrambled backward. It's simulating an attack pattern. One analyst gasped into their recorder. Multiple strike vectors. Synchronized assault formations. Crash! Tommy brought two ships together with maximum force. One of them broke. He stared at the pieces in his hand, and his lower lip started trembling. Broke it. The human is demonstrating the fragility of our defenses, Vryn said through the hologram, her voice hollow. This is a threat assessment. It's showing us exactly how it would destroy our fleet. Tommy threw the broken pieces on the floor and stomped on them for good measure. Stupid spaceship! Then he noticed his reflection in the polished metal wall panel. Stopped. Stared. Made a face at himself. The face stared back. This was, in Tommy's estimation, the best thing that had happened all day. He pressed his nose against the panel. Hi. It's studying our hull composition, someone said weakly. No more! Tommy spun around, having exhausted his interest in his reflection. I go home right now. He marched toward the docking bay doors with absolute determination. Zrel moved to block his path, then thought better of it and stepped aside. Behind her visor, she was having a crisis of confidence. She'd fought the Hive Wars. She'd held the line at Proxima Station. She'd never, not once, been afraid. She was a little afraid now. Small human. Kletch tried one last time, his voice cracking. Please. Tell us what Earth wants. Territory? Resources? We'll negotiate anything. Juice box! Tommy shouted back. And mommy. And goldfish. And no more talking. He reached the door controls, which were far too high for him. He stared up at them. Considered the problem. Then he started screaming again, this time while jumping up and down. It's attempting to breach the exit, Zrel reported, her military training the only thing keeping her voice steady. Should I stop it? No! Kletch and Vryn shouted simultaneously. An emergency transmission came through from Earth. Finally, Patricia's face appeared on screen, looking harried. This is Ambassador Hayes. We're coming to retrieve our representative. Please don't panic. Don't panic? Vryn's hologram flickered with interference from her stress levels. Your warrior has rejected every offer we've made. It destroyed our peace treaty. It simulated an attack on our entire fleet. And now it's demanding to leave. Patricia looked past the camera at something off-screen. Tommy, buddy, Mommy's almost there. 5 minutes, okay? No, now! He's 3, Patricia said simply. He's tired. He wants to go home. And you all need to stop pointing weapons at a toddler. The word didn't translate properly. Kletch's chip sputtered and offered. Juvenile bioweapon unit. We acknowledge Earth's superiority, Vryn said quickly, her pride completely abandoned. We'll agree to any terms. Just please take it back. Patricia blinked. I'm sorry, what? The Council formally declares humanity too advanced for standard diplomatic relations. We'll maintain respectful distance. Your species clearly operates on a level we cannot comprehend. Vryn was typing frantically. I'm transmitting full Council member status, trade rights, protected space designation, everything. Just please confirm we have peace. You're giving us everything because Tommy had a tantrum? Is that what you call this? Kletch gestured at the destroyed models, the ruined treaty, the juice stains on classified equipment. Your devastating psychological warfare demonstration. Patricia started laughing. She laughed so hard she had to sit down, and that's when they knew. In that moment, watching the senior human diplomat lose control, the Galactic Council realized they'd made a terrible, wonderful, absolutely mortifying mistake, but the paperwork was already filed. Patricia arrived on Harmony 7, still laughing, though it had evolved into the slightly hysterical laughter of someone who just realized they'd accidentally conquered the galaxy with a 3-year-old. Tommy saw her and immediately burst into fresh tears. Mommy! He ran full speed across the diplomatic chamber, crashed into her legs, and wrapped his arms around her knees with the grip strength of a tiny octopus. Patricia scooped him up, and he buried his face in her shoulder, suddenly exhausted from his ordeal. There we go, buddy. I've got you. She patted his back while he sniffled dramatically. Was it scary? Big bugs. Tommy mumbled into her jacket. No juice box. Floor was cold. I know, sweetie, I know. Patricia looked up at the assembled alien delegation, all of whom were staring at her like she'd just grown a second head. "So, I'm guessing we should talk." Kletch found his voice first. "That's a child." "Well, yes." Patricia adjusted Tommy on her hip. He was already falling asleep again, worn out from terrorizing an entire galactic government. "That's what I've been trying to tell you. His name is Tommy. He's 3 years old, not 3 centuries of combat training. But the transmissions," Vrin's hologram sputtered. "The giants. The monsters. Basketball players. It's a sport. We play it for fun." Patricia noticed the destroyed peace treaty on the floor. "Oh no. Did he draw on that?" "He marked territorial claims," Zrel said weakly, then paused. "Didn't he? He drew his stuffed dinosaur. Rexy. Who is right there." Patricia pointed at the abandoned toy. "Speaking of which, could someone grab that? He'll lose his mind again if we leave without it." A security officer retrieved Rexy like it was a live grenade and handed it over carefully. "And the metabolic shutdown?" Vrin asked. "The tactical demonstration. Nap time. He gets cranky without naps." Patricia was starting to understand the full scope of the misunderstanding, and it was taking every ounce of her diplomatic training not to laugh again. "Wait, you thought we were 12 feet tall? The transmissions were very clear about giants and titans," Kletch said defensively. "Our translation matrix doesn't understand metaphors." "Right." Patricia shifted Tommy to her other hip. "Okay. New plan. I'm going to explain humans to you using small words and simple concepts, and you're all going to feel very silly. And then we're going to pretend this never happened and start over. Deal?" The council members looked at each other. 47 species, thousands of years of combined diplomatic experience, and they'd just surrendered to a toddler having a bad day. "What about the treaty terms?" Counselor Plex asked nervously. "The ones we already transmitted?" Patricia pulled up the document on her datapad while Tommy drooled on her shoulder. "Full council membership. Protected space. Preferential trade status. Mutual defense pact. You're giving us all of this?" "We may have been generous in our panic," Vrin admitted. Patricia thought about her broken coffee maker, her $17 budget, the fact that she was technically conducting first contact in shoes she'd bought on sale 3 years ago. She looked at the treaty terms again. Looked at Tommy, who'd successfully conquered the galaxy by asking for juice and having feelings about it. "You know what? I think we'll keep these terms. Consider it compensation for the emotional distress you caused my junior representative." "That seems fair," Kletch said quickly. Too quickly. He really wanted this to be over. "Good. I'll send our actual diplomatic team next week. They're very professional. Much taller than Tommy, only slightly less likely to throw things." Patricia headed toward the docking bay, then paused. "Oh, and Ambassador Kletch? You might want to recalibrate those translation systems before you make contact with anyone else. Could save you some embarrassment." "Noted," Kletch said, his spiracles drooping with exhaustion. As Patricia carried Tommy back to the shuttle, she heard Zrel say quietly, "I've fought in 63 campaigns. That was the most terrifying." The shuttle ride back to Earth was peaceful. Tommy woke up long enough to eat the goldfish crackers Patricia had stashed in her bag and examined the alien toy Kletch had desperately gifted him. A small floating orb that changed colors. He seemed to like it. "Did I do good?" Tommy asked, pressing his nose against the window to watch the stars. "You did amazing, buddy. Absolutely terrifying." Patricia smiled. "When you're older, I'll tell you about the time you accidentally became the most feared diplomat in the galaxy." "Okay." Tommy yawned. "Can we get juice box now?" "We can get all the juice boxes. Earth just became a major galactic power. I think we can afford juice." Back on Harmony 7, the Galactic Council convened an emergency classified session. The official record would state that humanity had demonstrated advanced capabilities and earned full membership status through standard diplomatic channels. The unofficial record, buried in encrypted files and never to be spoken of again, told a different story. "Motion to establish a formal policy regarding humanity," Vrin announced. "All in favor of maintaining respectful distance and never, ever mentioning what actually happened here." 47 species voted unanimously in favor. Kletch added one final note to his personal log. "Humans are not 12 feet tall. They are, however, absolutely unpredictable, and their young are capable of psychological warfare that would break seasoned military commanders. Recommend extreme caution in all future dealings. Also recommend never volunteering for first contact missions again. Ever." He filed the report, poured himself a drink that was technically 3 drinks, and seriously reconsidered that accounting career. On Earth, Patricia Hayes started writing her memoir. Chapter 1 was titled, How I Saved the World with Inadequate Childcare. And Tommy? Tommy just wanted his juice box. He got it.